Welcome back, friends. This is part 2 of chapter 1, India Relief Features. In the previous video, we discussed about geological background and the Great Himalayas. In this part, we are going to discuss about the Great Northern Plains and the Peninsular Plateau. So let's get started. So the Great Northern Plains, also called as the Indo-Gangetic Plains. Why are we calling these plains as Indo-Gangetic Plains? We are calling these plains as Indo-Gangetic Plains because they are formed because of the influence of the three Himalayas, that is Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. Along with these rivers, there are also few tributaries that led to the formation of the Great Northern Plains. Okay, so these Indo-Gangetic Plains are formed over a period of 20 million years. Okay, so it is not that the Indo-Gangetic Plains were formed recently. It took some millions and millions of years uh, to form Indo-Gangetic Plains as the way they are. Okay, so in the beginning, if we go back like 20 million years ago, the Northern Plains was an empty shallow basin. There was nothing in it. It was just a plain land in the shape of a bowl, large bowl. There was nothing in it. But over the period of time, some millions and millions of years later, the Himalayan rivers that flew through these basins, they brought with them the alluvial soil, and these alluvial soil got filled in these shallow basins. Okay, so what is this alluvial soil? Alluvial soil is a soil that is being bought by the Himalayan rivers, and this soil is nothing but when the rocks break up. When the rocks break up due to the force of the water, it becomes a small fine particles of soil. So this is being bought by the Himalayan rivers, and they are deposited in these shallow basin, and that is how Indo-Gangetic plains are formed. It is believed that these soil is the best when it comes to fertility of the soil, and that is where we see most of the agriculture happening in these regions. So this is being bought by rivers such as Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra rivers. So the Indo-Gangetic Plains consist of three divisions. As you can see, western part is the Indus part, and the central part is the Ganga part, and the eastern part is the Brahmaputra part. Okay, so that is how we can classify the Indo-Gangetic Plains into three regions. So here is the map. You can see this green colored portion here, this entire green colored portion represents the Indo-Gangetic Plains. So as you can see that this is a very huge land uh, that is consisting of alluvial soil. So if you could name some of the states, it would be some parts of Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh. Complete Uttar Pradesh comes under Indo-Gangetic Plains, and you can also see Bihar, regions of Bihar, West Bengal, Meghalaya, etc. So apart from this, you can see that some portion of Indo-Gangetic Plains is also in Pakistan, as you can see here, and also some parts in Nepal. But that is not what we are going to study. We are going to study about the Indo-Gangetic Plains that are in India. So you can say that Indo-Gangetic Plains cover the states of some parts of Rajasthan, complete parts of Punjab, Haryana, and complete part of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Meghalaya, and also West Bengal. Okay, so as in the map you can see, this is about Indo-Gangetic Plains. So most of the agriculture happens in this region because these regions are having alluvial soil, which are considered to be the best soil when it comes to productivity. Okay, so this is about the Indo-Gangetic Plains. As we have just studied, the three divisions of Indo-Gangetic Plains are the western part, the central part, and the eastern part. So let us look at them in detail. The western part is formed by Indus River and its tributaries. So what are the tributaries of Indus River? The tributaries of Indus River are the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas, and the Satluj River. So these rivers are the tributaries. What is a tributary? A tributary is a river or a stream of river that joins the main river. That is called a tributary. So the western part of Indo-Gangetic Plain is covered with the flow of Indus along with its tributaries. Okay, so its tributaries include the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, the Beas, and Satluj. So these rivers are flowing from the Himalayas. Now, if we talk about the origin of the western part, where is the Indus River originating? The Indus River is originating in the Kailash range in the Tibetan Plateau near the Lake Mansarovar. So this is very important that you might have to note. Okay, the origin of the Indus River is in the Kailash range in the Tibetan Plateau in the Lake Mansarovar. So now talking about the extent of Indus River, the major portion of Indus River is in Pakistan. Only a little flow of Indus River is in the states of Punjab and Haryana. Only a little portion of Indus River flows through the states of Punjab and Haryana, and most of the portion flows into Pakistan. Okay, so in this region, Doab feature dominates the fertile land between the two areas. So Doabs are very common in this region. So what is a Doab? Like, for instance, let's say here we have one river which is flowing in this direction, and here we have another river which is flowing in this direction now. So the land between these two rivers, as you can see, this is river 1 and this is river 2. So the land that is in between these two rivers, this is called as Doab. Okay, so the fertile land between the two rivers is called as Doab. Okay, so now talking about the central part, children, the central part is called as the Ganga Plain. Okay, so here the central portion of the Indo-Gangetic plains are known as the Ganga Plain. So where does it start and where does it end? It starts from the Ghaggar River. So this is a river that originates on the foothills of Shivaliks. So from there it extends to Teesta River. Okay, so Teesta River is a tributary of Brahmaputra. So from Ghagra to Teesta, the central part of the Indo-Gangetic Plains, that is Ganga Plain, exists. Now, talking about the rivers of Ganga, Ganga and its tributaries. So these Yamuna, Son, Kosi, etc. drain this Ganga plain. These originates in the Himalayan mountain. Now talking about the origin of Ganga River originates in the Himalayan mountains in a place called Gomukh. At that place, at Gomukh place, there is a glacier called Gangotri Glacier. Okay, so this is the point where the Ganga River flows through the melting of the glaciers. Now, you must remember that the Ganga River does not get its name from the point where the ice is melt, the glacier is melt at Gangotri River. It gets its name at Devaprayag. Okay, so like in simple words, we can say at Gomukh there is a glacier called Gangotri. So from there, the glaciers are melting, and there a stream of river starts flowing, and from there the river continues as Bhagirathi. Okay, so from there the river continues as Bhagirathi. It flows down and joins another river called Alaknanda. Okay, so at a place called Devprayag. Okay, and this is the place where the river is getting its actual name. Okay, the name Ganga is not coming from a place where a Gangotri glacier is melting. Okay, so at that place the river is called Bhagirathi. The Bhagirathi flows down and it joins with another river called Alaknanda at Devprayag, and it is from this place the river gets its name as Ganga River. Now, moving on to the eastern part of the Indo-Gangetic Plain consists of the Brahmaputra Valley. So, where is this Brahmaputra Valley? The Brahmaputra Valley is in the state of Assam. So, the eastern part of Indo-Gangetic Plain is called as the Brahmaputra Plain. So, it is formed mainly due to the river Brahmaputra. Now, talking about the origin of Brahmaputra, Brahmaputra originates at a place in Tibet which is called as Chimyangdang Glacier. Okay, the name of this glacier is Chemyungdang. Sorry, it is Chemyungdang Glacier in Tibet. Okay, so Brahmaputra is also having different names. It is called as Sangpo River in Tibet, which happens to be the region that is controlled by China. So the river is called as Sangpo here, and in China the Brahmaputra is called as Yarlung Zangpo, whereas in the country of Bangladesh it is called as Jamuna. So these are the three divisions of Indo-Gangetic Plains. Another important feature of Indo-Gangetic Plains are Bhabar and Terai. As you can see, this is a picture that shows Bhabar here and Terai here. Let us try to understand what are these regions. So the Himalayan rivers, while flowing down, they leave gravels and pebbles. So what are gravels and pebbles? As you can see, this is a picture of gravel. So these are nothing but small pieces of rocks. Okay, these pieces are often due to the weathering of the rocks and due to the force of the water. When the Himalayan rivers they flow with force. So due to this force, the pieces of the rocks break down into small chunks of stones, which are called as gravels. So here you can see pebbles. Again, here also we can see the pieces of rocks. So these are gravels and pebbles, so that are stretched in a narrow belt of 8 to 16 kilometers here. Okay, so this feature is called as Bhabar. So when the river flows, they carry these deposits of gravel and pebbles. They carry with them and they deposit in a wide stretch of a land that is between 8 to 16 kilometers, and this particular feature here, as you can see, this is called as Bhabar. So Bhabar is mostly consisting of rocks that are porous. So what do you mean by porous? Porous means which contains huge gaps and holes in it. Okay, so it contains stones, and there is so much of space between the stones, and that is why we call Bhabar as a porous region. Okay, so small rivers and small streams flow underground through Bhabar and reappear again in the lower areas and form a soft and wet area known as Terai. So after Bhabar, you get to see another landform. As you can see here, this region is called as Bhabar. So this region is called as Terai. So when the river flows, okay, the water passes through the porous rocks. Okay, since we have gravels and pebbles here, the water goes down, it passes by, it disappears. Okay, it disappears, and then again it reappears here in the Terai region. So this region, as you can see, is filled with soft soil. Okay, and this portion is consisting of forests, especially green coverage is seen in this Terai because it has fertile soil where the water is again reappearing in the Terai region. So when the Himalayan rivers flow, they pass through the rocks that are in the Bhabar region, and due to which the water is not seen here, it becomes invisible, and again the water reappears in this region which is called as Terai. Terai region is very thick. It consists of a variety of wildlife. However, over a period of time, over a few years, this Terai has lost its green coverage because people are using this region for agricultural and various other purposes. Especially at the time of India's partition, the Terai region, which was full of green forests, was cleared. Okay, it was cleared, and this region was used for agriculture. uh, Talking about terai, it is still consisting of fine alluvial soil. Okay, so this is about bhabar and terai, and let us move forward to the next topic. Let us now move to the third major relief feature of India, that is Peninsula Plateau. So, first, before we begin Peninsular Plateau, we must understand the meaning of the word peninsula. What is peninsula? A peninsula is a large piece of land that is jutting out into the ocean and is surrounded by water on all the three sides. So if you look at the map here, this is a large piece of land that is jutting out into the ocean. This piece of uh, land that is jutting out into the ocean and is surrounded by water from three sides. So from the west, you can see India is surrounded with Arabian Sea, and to the east we have Bay of Bengal, and to the south we have Indian Ocean. Okay, so since this land is surrounded by water bodies on three sides, we can call this as a peninsula. This portion as peninsula. Then what is a plateau? A plateau is a flat tableland form. Plateau is a flat tableland form which is at an elevated height. If we compare a plateau with a mountain has a very you know the slope of the mountain is not so steep, but if we look at the plateau, the edges of the plateau are steep. Okay, so both of them are at an elevated level compared with a plain. So that is one thing that you must remember. So a peninsula plateau is a plateau that is lying on the peninsular region, this region of India. So this peninsular plateau is covered by water bodies on three sides. If we talk about this particular peninsular plateau, this this plateau is consisting of rocks, mostly old crystalline rocks, igneous rocks, and metamorphic rocks. And this region is also having rich deposits of minerals, both metallic and non-metallic. Now, this plateau has a slight slope towards the east. Now, imagine that if I draw, see, I can just show you how it is sloping. Okay, so this is the western side of the plateau, and this is sloping this way towards the east. Okay, so the eastern and the western Ghats form the eastern and the western edges. So here you can see this is the peninsular plateau, and this is surrounded by western Ghats on the western side. This here is the western Ghats on the western side, and here you can see these are the eastern Ghats on the eastern side of the peninsular plateau. So one thing that you can observe here is the western Ghats are continuous. The western Ghats are continuous, whereas when it comes to the eastern Ghats are not continuous. So the southernmost point of India, if we talk about the southernmost point of India, that is taking into account the mainland of India, as we already discussed, is Kanyakumari. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. And talking about the region, how whether it is dry or wet. Comparing it with Indo-Gangetic Plains, the plateau is dry. It is not as wet as the Indo-Gangetic Plains because this region does not have perennial rivers. The rivers are not perennial here. So they are seasonal rivers, due to which this region is mostly dry. So the people in these regions, they cultivate crops mostly once a year. But if they want to cultivate the crops for the second time in the year, they have to depend on tube wells and tanks in this region. Okay, so this is about Peninsular Plateau. Now let us talk about the major divisions of Peninsular Plateau. Talking about the divisions of Peninsular Plateau, the Peninsular Plateau can broadly be categorized into two divisions. So the one is called as the Central Highlands. Let me draw it for you on the map. So this portion here, which combines both the Malwa Plateau along with the Chota Nagpur Plateau, this region here, this is called as Central Highlands. So the Central Highlands composes two plateau divisions. One is the Malwa Plateau and the second one being the Chota Nagpur Plateau here. This one is the Chota Nagpur Plateau and this one is the Malwa Plateau. So combining these two plateaus, we call them as Central Highlands. We call them as Central Highlands. Now, talking about the other divisions or other division of Peninsular Plateau is the Deccan Plateau. As you can see, this entire region over here, the entire region over here is the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so let us talk about the Malwa Plateau first. Malwa Plateau is on the western side. So this you can see, this is on the western side of India, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau lies on the eastern side. So this is the eastern part of India, that is Chota Nagpur Plateau is on the eastern part of India, and the Malwa Plateau lies in the western part of India. Now, if you look at the Deccan Plateau lies in the central southern part of India. So this one here is in the triangular shape. Okay, so the Deccan Plateau is mostly in the triangular shape, which happens to be in the central and the southern point of India. Now, let us now look at some of the important locations or some of the important points in the Peninsula Plateau. Let me erase this and let us discuss some of the important positions, important places in the Deccan Plateau. So let me first erase the screen so that we can. So let us now locate the division, locate some important locations in the Peninsular Plateau. So first let us locate the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Here you can see this is Chota Nagpur Plateau on the eastern side, and Malwa Plateau here on the western side. So these two lands when combined together are called as Central Highlands. These are called as Central Highlands, and to the south of the Central Islands, we have the Deccan Plateau. So here you can see the triangular landform. Okay, so the triangular landform to the south of the Central Highlands are called as the Deccan Plateau. Now, let us locate some of the important locations here. To the south of the river Narmada. So here somewhere you get to see Narmada River between the Vindhya and Satpura range. Okay, so to the south of the Narmada River, we have this Deccan Plateau. Okay, so this is in the triangular landform. Okay, this is then the triangular landform which is called as Deccan Plateau. So Satpura range, as we have located already, forms the northern part. Now this is Deccan Plateau, and to the north of the Deccan Plateau, what do we have? We have Satpura range. So now looking at the eastern part here, to the east we have Kaimur range. Here you can see. So this is Kaimur range, and Michael Range. Here you can see Michael Range and Mahadev Range. So these are all on the eastern side edges of the Peninsular Plateau. So the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. So the Western Ghats, the Eastern Ghats and the Nilgiris form the western, eastern and the southern boundaries of India. So there are also few passes between the Ghats connecting them to the coastal plains. So if we have to locate this on the map, here you can see this blue colored portion here. This is this is the region that is consisting of Ghats. So since this is on the western side of India, we call these Ghats as the Western Ghats. Now if you look at this part of the map here, this portion here, this is on the eastern side, and since it is on the eastern side, these Ghats are called as the Eastern Ghats. So the Western Ghats form the boundary on the western side and the Eastern Ghats form the boundary on the eastern side. So there is a point there is a point where Nilgiri, which happens to be the southern boundary of India, joins the Western Ghat, and that place is somewhere here. Okay, so that is a place called Gudalur. Okay, so that is a place where the Nilgiris join the Western Ghats. So at that point, there is also a famous hill station called Udagamandalam, which is a popular tourist destination, which is popularly known as Ooty. So at that point, the highest peak is Doda Beta. Okay, Doda Beta, which is about 2,637 meters, 2,637 meters height. Okay, so some of the popular hill stations are Palani in Tamil Nadu, Anaimudi and Cardamom Hills in Kerala are the part of Western Ghats. So these are the parts of Western Ghats. Anaimudi is at an elevation of 2,695 meters. So this is in the Anamalai Hills. This is the highest peak in the southern India. So this is very important that you might have to remember. Okay, so Anaimudi in the Anaimalai Hills is the highest peak of South India. So here if you see that the Western Ghats are continuous. Okay, in the previous map also I have shown you that the Western Ghats are continuous. Okay, whereas the Eastern Ghats are discontinuous. Okay, there are gaps in between. Okay, so now let us talk about the Eastern Ghats. So talking about the Eastern Ghats of the Peninsular Plateau, as we have located, this is on the eastern part of India, eastern side of India. So after these Eastern Ghats, we have Eastern Coastal Plain, which we will be discussing it in the other class. So after the Western Ghats also, we have Western Coastal Plains. So coastal plains, when we discuss about coastal plains, I'm going to discuss about the coastal plains on the western side and the coastal plains of the eastern side. Now we are talking about Ghats. So we have already covered Western Ghats. Now let us talk about the Eastern Ghats here. So the Eastern Ghats extend from Mahanadi Valley. So where are they starting from? They are starting from Mahanadi Valley in the north. Okay. So in the south, they continue till Nilgiris. Okay. They continue till Nilgiris. Eastern Ghats do not have continuous chain of mountains. As I told you, they are discontinuous. They do not have continuous range of Ghats. They are discontinuous. So most of the rivers like Godavari and Krishna, they originate in the Western Ghat and they flow towards the Eastern Ghats, and they finally merge into Bay of Bengal. So most of the rivers that are originating in the Western Ghat, here in this region, they originate in the Western Ghats and they flow towards the Eastern Ghats, and finally they merge into Bay of Bengal. Now talking about the heights, children, they are not having very high altitude compared with the Eastern Ghats. As compared with the Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats are lower in altitude. So it is on an average it is somewhere around 900 meters. So now talking about the highest peak, children, the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Aromakonda, which is in Andhra Pradesh, which is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So some of the hilly regions in the Western Ghats are Nallamalas, Velikondas, Palakondas and Sheshachala. So these are some of the hilly regions of the Eastern Ghats. So one important thing about the Peninsular Plateau is we find black soil here. Now the question comes, why do we have black soil here? Black soil is formed due to most of the volcanic activities that had happened in the past, due to which we have black soil available in abundance in the Peninsular Plateau. Okay, so this is about the Peninsular Plateau, where we have discussed about the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. In the next video, we'll be talking about the coastal plains, the Thar Desert, and the island groups of India. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. In case if you liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe. This will motivate me to come forward with more such interesting lectures. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.